and allows the elasticity around there. And then they throw this into the ground, and then everything sort of, which was long-term athletic development. Professor Rick Howard from Western University and I have been doing some stuff together around the world, doing lectures. And for me, and I mean, Randy has the same philosophy, and that is that you build sprinters at the age of 8 to 13, 15. That's where you build speed. Because whatever windows you open up or whatever windows you shut down in that age bracket, that's what you've got to work with later on. So you've got to open up these, and I work with this idea that there are 9 different types of movement patterns. And what we see is that athletes who have more athleticism, they've got more of these 9 movement patterns. And each movement patterns, I mean, it's jumping, it's landing, it's bracing, it's hinging, pushing, pulling, squatting, lunging. You've got to be able to do those. Now, that long-term athletic development is, and what you do for your specific, with these specific windows of learning. So, I mean, these kids should be doing, mobility circuits, strength circuits, endurance circuits, speed circuits, everything to get that neuromuscular system firing and moving quickly, moving limbs quickly. Because we know by the time you get to about 12, 13, that's the time when you have the highest limb speed that you will ever have. The only thing you can do after that is add power and force and power to the equation. But you can't increase limb velocity anymore. It's set. So those windows we've got to open earlier by doing the right things at the right time. And this is what they don't do for example, in team sports. And this is where it gets tricky. And this is what I wrote to the Italian Federation 10 years ago. You've got to introduce more athleticism in your training for young kids. You can't just run around a football field kicking a football and think you're going to run in and out of cones and that's it. Sorry, it's just not going to get the job done. You're going to have to. And one of the things that I at the same time, we don't help kids with opening up these windows. We're doing them a disservice because we get to a stage then where they're, getting out of puberty, getting into, sort of adolescence, and all of a sudden, it's like I usually say, if you want to build a house out of, just lumber and so forth, you're going to need a few tools. You can't just give the carpenter a hammer and a saw and say to him, build my house. That's going to be one hell of a difficult task. So we've got to give athletes more tools early on to open these windows. Then we can do things when we get to this high performance stage where Randy and I and other coaches are working. Because once you're there, you sort of, like again, if you look at some of the guys that we had in China, they've got such big holes in their makeup. So what do? Do you mess around trying to fix these holes because you've got a job and you've got to do it, and if you don't do it and get results, you get fired. And at the same time, what are we going to get out of it? If we do a lot of coordination drills to get him, being able to do some plyometrics, is that going to make things better or is he going to run faster if we do that? It's a little bit like sometimes when you say that, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Don't try to fix it. It's question is it worth your time? Is it worth the effort of doing things and trying to put those tools into the toolbox at age 25, 27? Or do you simply go with what's there and you maximize what's there?